So yeah, welcome to part 2 of 4, Flirting 101. A little bit of introduction about me. I throw events for her and have been doing that since 2018. So both in real life events in the before times and online events like this in the now times, I guess. And I also write the Her biweekly newsletter. So if you would like to sign up for that, we have like columns and events and news. You can do that in the Her social app IG in the link tree. And later in early February, I'll be doing an interview with the director of the National Center for Lesbian Rights, Imani Rupert Gordon. So just wanted to get that on people's radars now. We also have Chris from Her, who you've heard from already. I don't know if you want to say anything, Chris.
Yeah, just thanks everybody for joining. We have a lot of folks in here. If you are just joining, be sure to DM folks, chat, interact in the chats and everything. We intentionally create this space for us to all interact. So yeah.
Nice. And if anyone else from Her or Autostraddle are here, I'm going to introduce our panelists in a little bit, but if anyone else, let us know. So before we get into that, wanted to do a little bit more context of the series and this particular event. So in the before times, I was actually quite nomadic. Right now, I'm in my maritime themed Airbnb where it's all about anchors and catching starfish in your net, which now that I think about it is kind of ironic if you think about, yeah, anyway. I have been traveling for the last 5 years, and actually the year of 2019, especially the summer of 2019, was what I call the year of teenage boy predator beast mode. So I tried to do all the gay things. I went to the Dinah, I went to Girls in Wonderland in Orlando, Provincetown for Memorial Day, Girly Circuit in Barcelona. I went to the gayest event I've ever been to, which is Women's World Cup in France, because, you know, who goes to watch women's sports? Like all the queer women. So it was amazing. And then Prides in Zurich, Paris, Brighton, and Berlin. So it was really fun. And basically, I was focused on how to hit on women because I'd come out, you know, a couple years before that. And it was just a crash course in rejection and developing resilience in that. And learning how to flirt. So this session is near and dear to my heart. I'm super excited to learn from our panelists that we have today from Autostraddle. But before we get into that, just wanted to do a couple notes. So just to orient you, we're in the second of 4 sessions, taking you from pre-swipe, which we did last session, all the way through to the relationship talk. And we're hoping that you walk away from the series with a mindset of abundance and playfulness towards dating. So dating should be fun, right? Or else, you know, why are you doing it? Some tips and tricks to actually put into practice, and that's where the magic's actually going to happen. And a chance to connect to our communities. So that's why we ask you to keep your videos on so you can get to see other people, maybe DM them and see what happens. So today is Flirting 101. The context is you've both swiped right, so it's a match. Now what, right? At the end of the session, you will be able to start a conversation and keep it going. What I call socially top or shooting your shot, assuming that you would like to have a first date in real life or on Zoom, and how to navigate common texting challenges like a mismatch in pacing. So it's either too much or too little in terms of intensity or frequency. And then everyone's least favorite topic, ghosting. So we will tackle that topic as well. So it might be helpful to have some of your old text message exchanges in mind, or even on your phone, and be able to reflect on it and how you might have done things different or how you want to do it in the future. So to kick things off, how many people are you actively texting with right now? This can be DMs and Instagram, pretty broad. 2, 1, 3 zeros. All right, I would say lots of 1s and 2s. 7, that's prolific. Good job. Or maybe that's a tiring job. I don't know. Okay, cool. So a reminder that each webinar stands alone, but we will be building off previous sessions. So at the beginning of every session, I like to do a reminder of the mindset tips. So remembering that 1 + 1 has to be greater than 2. You want to satisfy your own needs. If there is an imbalance of giving or taking over time, that will become unsustainable. Second, you want to focus on abundance and not scarcity. So just like going grocery shopping and not wanting to be hungry, you don't want to be doing dating stuff and be horny. So don't be horngry. And really focus on the abundance of ways that you can feel the 3 feelings that you identified in the last session that you really want to feel. And there are many ways to do that, not just one person in the world, or not even just a romantic relationship, but your friends, your family, your activities that you love to do, being in nature, many, many ways to get those 3 feelings you identified. Third, you want to cultivate a growth mindset, right? You don't have to be good at any of this. The key word here is yet. You don't have to be good at it yet. And fourth, really remembering to get down that funnel. You know, you're meeting people at the top of the funnel, you're getting to know them, which is kind of what we're going to focus on in this session. And then you're heading to the end game. And we really want to get down that funnel. So rejection is good. You want that hell yes or hell no. So I touched a little bit on rejection because this comes up a lot for people as a reason why they find it draining or they want to avoid dating altogether because rejection is very painful. So just one slide today, folks. Here we go. So I wanted to talk about how to handle rejection, but first we need to realize what actually is being rejected. So it's not you, it's not the other person, it's the third entity, which is fit. So this is about compatibility. And it's really important that you realize that so you don't take rejection personally or demonize the other person. Rejection, again, is not about you, it's not about them, it's about that third entity, fit. So there's nothing wrong with being an early bird or a night owl, but they're incompatible with each other. So the fit isn't there. So rejection is a good thing. You want it in the funnel. And how do you go about handling that? So it's important to acknowledge whatever feelings and thoughts come up and let them flow through. So don't like obsess over them. And remember that the feeling of pain or whatever you're feeling is absolutely natural, right? We're tribal creatures from evolution. And if you don't feel that pain, you might be a sociopath. So if you feel it, then you're human. And remember that every singer pretty much has a rejection song or some sort of unrequited love song. So you're in very good company. So once you kind of acknowledge those feelings, you want to practice some self-care and self-compassion. So yeah, maybe it's time to eat all the ice cream, you know, like treat yourself like you would a sick loved one. It's not the time for tough love, it's the time for love. And once you kind of recover and get to a place of grounding, you can then turn towards reflecting on what learnings you got from it about yourself and about how to connect to other people. And at this point, you want to be really careful about negative spirals. So watch how you talk to yourself, your self-talk, especially around words like always or never, like everyone always rejects me, or I never connect with people. And then ask yourself, but is that really true? Like never? And I think what you'll find is that that's not true for anyone, right? And you really want to have a growth mindset during this time and remembering to add that word yet, right? It means you can grow and change and improve. I haven't connected with someone this month, ... yet. So leave the past in the past, learn from it, but stay really focused on the present. Then when you've kind of reflected, you want to thank the experience, feel gratitude, and celebrate. You know, you've just built some resilience that will serve you well in life. I like to talk about how women in general don't have to go through this process. And, you know, if you're a cis het man, you probably from adolescence have to learn how to shoot your shot and get rejected a lot. And I think you can see that reflected a lot of times in other arenas of life. So like, I know for myself, if I have 95% of the job description, I'll be like, ooh, but I'm missing those 5%. Whereas a man might have only 25% and be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I can do this. So remember that whatever you learn in dating, you can actually apply to other areas of your life. And it can serve you in those ways too, learning how to be assertive, learning how to be resilient, and build a lot of strength for yourself. So thank this experience of being able to build more resilience. And remember that rejection is awesome, right? You want to get down that funnel. So rejection gets people out of the funnel. You want that hell yes, which will drive people down to the end game, or the hell no, which will drive them out to the side. And the sooner, the better, right? The maybe in that middle is pure hell. They're wasting your time. They're clogging up the funnel. You want them out. So rejection really saves you from wasting time and energy on the wrong people, right? So what I like to do is consistently Marie Kondo my dating apps. So I clear out stale matches every couple of weeks, clear them out. And it's like literally you're almost looking at an actual funnel, right? Like getting them out of the funnel. So celebrate rejection. You're one step closer to really getting what you want, right? What you're looking for. Awesome. Okay. Our one and only slide. So I'm super excited for our main event today. We have Autostraddle dating download writers, Danny, Shelli, and Drew. I am going to let themselves introduce themselves. And what I try to prompt them with to guide them for an introduction are these 4 questions, which they may or may not incorporate. But what is your current relationship status? How would you describe your dating skills? What has dating been like during COVID? And what's your favorite part about dating? So we have 3 Drew Gregory's on. I'm going to let the real Drew Gregory start.
Hi, my name is Drew. I use she, her pronouns. I am single. And I feel like when it comes to dating, I'm very direct. I feel like that is maybe like one of my strengths as a dater, is that like I do genuinely, like, generally I message first, and I just sort of feel like, I don't know, I like enjoy, I don't want to say I enjoy the game of dating, because I do take it seriously and I'm like hyper aware that people on the other end are actual people, and I try to be really thoughtful about that. But I think I just really enjoy getting to know people. And so I think even if a connection is just going to be like one night of flirting, that is exciting. So yeah, so I don't know. I think that's it.
Nice. Awesome, Drew. Let's go with Shelli next. Wherever Shelli is. Or Danny? The other Drew Gregory's, please.
Hi, I'm Danny Janae. My pronouns are she, her. So my current relationship status is single. And I would describe my dating style, my dating skills as like pretty confident, and I date a lot. I am on lots of different like dating pool apps, things. I just think that dating is so much fun, and I love getting to know beautiful women on various levels. Dating during COVID has been pretty rough, but I still have some hope about, meeting cool people and doing fun things, whether that's going on walks or doing like a social distance little Netflix party date or something like that. I think I already said my favorite part of dating, which was, being able to meet beautiful women and hang out with them. So that's all I have.
That's awesome. Thanks, Danny. And Shelli.
Hi, can you see me now?
Yes, yes.
Oh my God, perfect. Maybe it's just because I wanted more attention. I don't know. But I'm Shelli. I am single. Like my dating level status, I think I'm a pro, and I do see it as a game, even though I do realize that there are very real people on the other side. But I love dating. I think it's fun. I think it's sexy. My favorite part, as tried as it may sound or similar to everyone else's, is meeting new people. I think it's dope. Everybody but Libras. I'm allergic to Libras, so sorry.
Libras, I want to hear from you in the chat. Let's hear from the
So if
Libras.
there's like Libras in the chat, feel free to attack me, but that's what it's gonna be. But yeah, like I love dating. I love meeting new people. I've never really been scared of dating for the most part. Just like Drew said, I'm super direct, always ready to message first. So, and through COVID, I'm in Chicago, so it's been kind of the same, where meeting in the parks and stuff was cool for a while, but now it's negative, like whatever outside. So switch to digital. But yeah, that's it.
Nice. Thank you. Welcome, Drew, Danny, and Shelli. Actually, could one of you give a little background on dating download and what you folks do during that, in case people haven't had the chance to read it?
Yeah. So it started because we were all reviewing like one specific like new dating app, and we had a really good time doing it. And also, I think we all had like different reasons. I know for me, I was like, well, I don't know, like dating during the pandemic can get tedious, and I love the excuse of like downloading a bunch of different apps as like my job. I'm a Capricorn, so I love to take things that are just like things I want to do and be like, I'm going to make this into my job. And so, yeah, so how many apps have we reviewed?
I think so far we've done 3 different ones. Yeah. So it's been pretty dope though. Yeah. Same. We're kind of just like, it's COVID. We are all in the crib and still trying to get laid. So it was kind of just like, how do we figure that out and share that with other people? Because using Twitter as much as I want to as a dating app is hard as fuck. So like,
yeah. Was that the same for you too, Danny?
Yeah, after we did our first app that we reviewed, I was like, this is a lot of fun. I like working with these, so it's just like a really great experience. And I have been on like lots of different, so it was like I should try new things and get to know new people, and just see out there.
Nice, awesome. I think that's probably why we're all involved in dating and dating apps in some way. So let's kick it off in the chat. So what are some, I want you to DM your response to one of the people in an adjacent Zoom box. So you're going to DM them a conversation opener that you have given successfully or that has worked on you.
Wait, we're playing too, right?
Because yeah, you can play. Yeah.
Again, so I told you I think it's a game. So I'm like, let's play. Let's party now.
Someone better DM me. I better be near someone's box, so to speak.
To be near someone's box in real life.
I know, yet again.
God.
One day.
This Zoom is against me, yo. Everyone's just like, how do I find you? All right, that's a good opener. How do I find you? All right.
You're near my box, but not near enough. Ooh, I just got that one from someone. That would work, yeah.
See, I just got one that I kind of really dig. It's just very cute, compliment to the point. It was just those lips, though. Compliment me. It works. It's like, but it's not a shady compliment, though. You know what I mean? It's not weird. It's just like cute, to the point. It makes me feel good.
Nice.
Someone messaged me, like, comment something they have in common with me from my profile, which I like. That's definitely my move. So I appreciate, even though they don't have my profile at hand in order to do that. I like the theoretical idea.
Yeah, it's cute.
Nice. I like, what's one thing on your bucket list you haven't done yet? Nice one, Shannon. I had this one DM to me. I saw you across the room. Maybe you can say I saw you across the Zoom, and wouldn't forgive myself if I didn't say hi. So hi. Oh, nice. How about
What's your favorite song? That's a really good one too.
which one?
What's your favorite song? Because I think you can definitely like get to know somebody based on the music that they listen to.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, this is good. And hey, we matched. I'm going to start planning our honeymoon, Bali or Fiji.
Ooh, what's your favorite? Rate your anxiety. Please marry me. Absolutely.
Rate your anxiety. I like this. Awesome. What's your favorite food so I can cook it for you? You know what I like. You know what I like. It's funny. I hear you like personality. That's great because I have many.
Again, the truth, open, honest, upfront.
Yeah. Okay.
What was the last protest you went to? That's good, but it can also go. It can go a certain way. You know what I mean? You don't want to be like too getting into the heavy shit too quick. You know.
Nice. How about not people who have been DMing, but what else have people received in real life? Drew, Danny, and Shelli.
I've gotten a lot of, so it depends. I guess it really depends on how your profile is filled out, right? And that's another really good thing about Dating Download. The three of us, we fill out our profiles on dating apps three completely different ways. I am very much so on the minimal side, and I give you like 2 lines, 4 pictures, and maybe my Instagram. And then, because the point for me is to kind of just like engage more in conversation in the messages. And I've come across people where if their profile is heavily filled out, they kind of get kind of rude about the questions I ask. They'll be like, oh, well, that's in my profile. And it's like, okay, but I still want to know why you like listening to SZA all the time. Like, can we keep talking?
That's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to be like referred to my profile.
Exactly.
Stop texting me.
That's on my cover page. Like, okay, bro, chill. Like, sorry. But yeah, I mainly get a lot of like for myself, I think because it's very minimal, I get a lot of like physical based comments, which I'm not complaining about, but that's usually the entrance for the messages that I get. So
okay, Shelli, then what pictures are you posting? Because I'm now
curious. Baby, let me tell you, we've got a range. Okay, in the 4, you get a cute close up, and then you get like a femme side, and then I give you a full body because fat phobia is all on the app, and you can't on every app, and you cannot see me in person and act like you didn't know. So I'm like, nope, that was picture number 2. So don't try to play me. And then I give you a little more of a masculine side in another picture. And then the 4th one is probably like the most recent, you know? So that's my picture range.
Nice. And Drew and Danny, how about you folks?
Yeah, I like am pretty, can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I was having mic problems. I am pretty thorough in my profile. I think because I don't know. I guess like more compliments would be nice. So maybe I should like switch it up a bit. But I think I want people to like really have an understanding of who I am, like as a full person, so I don't like engage in the conversation without them wanting to. I don't like a conversation. I don't know. It's like another way of filtering people out, of being like, I want you to know who I am or have some understanding of who I am. So if you are to message me or match with me or whatever, like we already sort of have some groundwork there. But obviously, like if anyone wanted to like, I don't know, ask about those things, I would be like, or like not have studied my profile, I would not be sensitive about that. That would be totally fine.
I mean, like, yeah, did you not refer to the 3rd
like
paragraph?
Yeah, there's no, and it's not that much. I would say like in my bio I have like, it depends on the app, right? Because like different apps have different prompts. So like on her, like I've just filled out like 3 prompts, which to me isn't like overkill. I don't think you want to like give someone homework, but it's definitely like enough to have like, I think, a sort of understanding of my sense of humor. I think maybe that's what it is. It's like sense of humor.
Yeah, sense of humor seems to be important for a lot of people. So that's great. How about you, Danny?
Yeah, I tend to be on the side of Drew. I like to give people a pretty good taste of what they're getting into up front. So I fill out the bio with like a few lines. I try to mention upfront the things that I'm passionate about, that there are things that people can bond to in my profile, to, like message me about. Usually the one that messages first, but if like someone's a little bit lost, I like to give them something to grab onto so they can like, send a quick message that shows that they're interested. With pictures and stuff, I do. I am a poet and I perform around my city that I live in. So I like to do like performance pictures, and I like to do body pics, my favorite outfits, my favorite lip colors, stuff like that, just to like give people a taste of my style and who I am.
Yeah, that's great. I hear a theme that's coming out is like being authentic, right? Like that kind of goes back to the idea of like getting down the funnel, right? Like you're not trying to win a popularity game. You're trying to match with someone that you'd want to spend time with. So having awesome thirst traps is great, as long as it's kind of authentically you as well. So yeah, that's interesting. Shelli, you touch on fat phobia. I don't know if you wanted to say a couple more words about that and how you handle that. And I know, Drew, we had talked a little bit about transphobia and, how has that kind of impacted, this is maybe a very broad question, but how has it impacted your dating experience and how you navigate that? 1 second, Shelli's 1 second. So Drew or Danny, do you want to start?
I can start. I actually write a lot about like fat phobia and dating. I did an essay series for Autostraddle about it recently. Yeah, like I try not to go into dating like with an insecure mindset of like, oh, I'm not going to get mad because I'm fat, but I try and be honest about my body and the way that I am, and expect people to have some sort of respect or like some see around that. It is very complicated, especially like, in the lesbian community, a community I'm part of. I think that a lot of the representation in that community is very like white and like wealthy. And I think that those stereotypes of lesbians really cloud the dating pool and like what people find attractive. And people, are limited in what they find attractive. So I talk about that a lot in my writing, and other places in my life, anywhere that anybody will let me talk about it, I'll talk about it. So thank you for letting me talk about it a little bit here.
Yeah, so it sounds like in the kind of talking about it, normalizing it has that helped you and in kind of expressing yourself and also help filter the people you would want in your life?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think talking about it sort of not only breaks the silence around it, but it also the people have experienced the same thing or like struggling with that in their lives personally, foreground, and they can share experiences as well. And then for me, it like broadens my a little bit more to have people that also identify or like have fat bodies in my circle, and we can talk about that we face together. But it also has definitely boosted my confidence in myself. Just being able to talk about it and be in community with people has helped me to overcome, the internalized fat phobia that I struggle with for many years of my life. So that's been really exciting.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that, Danny. I know just watching the chat too, like that resonates with a lot of people and it's very authentic and yeah, it's great. Shelli, do you want to chime in on fat phobia? We can't hear you.
Better?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I really agree with what Danny was saying about fat phobia, especially like in the lesbian community. The lesbian community loves to think that it's so accepting of everyone, especially like Caucasian, like feminist lesbians like to believe that they're so accepting of everyone, but the truth sort of comes out when you get on a lot of these apps, you know, and it happens all the time. And for me, it happens, I feel very like fetishized a lot of the time when it comes to the apps, like not just the fatness, but also the blackness, especially with everything that's been happening like the past year. And so many people I see have like ACAP in their bio or BLM and stuff like that. And will think that that's some sort of draw for me as a Black person, a Black woman, to be like, oh, I think you must be so woke because this is in the bio. Or even having things in their bio like no fat, like no fat phobia and things like that. But it still exists and is there. But I do the same thing that Danny was saying, surrounding myself with other like fat women, other Black women, so that we can talk about this. And also in my bios, I'm very upfront. I will say like POC to the front when it comes to certain things, just because that's where I feel safe. And that's who I feel safest with. And I feel like it's one less barrier that I'm going to have to go through when it comes to like digitally dating online, you know, so.
Yeah, that's interesting. Again, kind of getting down the funnel, knowing, you know, filtering for people you feel like you would match with. Well, Drew, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because there's like a few different types of people that I encounter who I maybe would rather not encounter, right? Like there's people who are just like TERFs and like I feel like you can figure that out pretty quickly, and usually we're not matching, and it's just sort of like whatever. Like sometimes I'll see something in a bio that will be like a little upsetting, but mostly if someone just like actively doesn't want anything to do with me or doesn't want me to exist or whatever, it's like it's just sort of like that's not really what I'm concerned about because we don't interact. But I think then there's people who either they just don't have they don't have experience dating trans women or trans people in general, or they just like don't always know the right thing to say or do. I don't know, like we don't ever get to know, right? Like why people are into us, aren't into us, unless someone like says something explicit. So I think there are things and there are ways that I'm treated where I sometimes feel like it's connected to my transness, but I don't really get confirmation of that. And that can be like sort of frustrating. I know that I think also because I'm like, and choose to be like a fairly androgynous trans woman, I think I like very much like am like flashing lights like queer in a way that I love, but I think also often attracts people who are like figuring, like sort of experimenting and figuring things out. And I think sometimes those people have like an idea about me that I'm like a bit of a stepping stone of like, oh, like you're best of both worlds. You're like right in the middle, whatever. And it's like, no, that's not what that's not even like, that's not a definition of any type of transness. I mean, I guess if someone wanted to identify that way, that's great. But like for most people, even if you identify as non-binary, it's not like a best of both worlds situation. Like gender is more complicated than that. So there's like a bit of a learning curve, I think, for people, but I also don't want people to feel, I don't know, like when I'm on a dating app, most of the time I'm dating, like it's casual for me. Like, yeah, sometimes maybe I want to like find a relationship or whatever, but a lot of times I like don't. Like a lot of times it's just like fun. And so I think sometimes people have these like fears of like saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing, like cis people explicitly, but also like because I'm navigating lesbian community, I also have a lot of experiences with like AFAB trans people who maybe haven't been with trans women before. And they also have like fallen into some of these traps, which is just being like, I'm just a person and like you can say the wrong thing every once in a while. And like, it depends on the level of wrong thing, but like be normal around me. Like if you're like walking on eggshells, that's going to feel worse. So I just sort of want someone to just like be normal, but also there's like tells, right? That like make me feel like, I don't know, like on her, if anyone sets their diet to like vegetarian, as funny as they may think that is, like I'm not swiping right, like just as like a flat rule, because even if that's not meant to be explicitly, or even if like we had a conversation or whatever, and like, you know, different trans people like use whatever genitalia they have, like different, like that to me though just shows like a level of ignorance where I'm like, okay, or an explicit statement that that person's making. So I'm like, okay, cool. Then like, we're not a match. Like, I'm going to keep on moving on. But like some of those people, like I get the like notification. So it's like, they're not even probably thinking about the way that that's othering to me. And so I think everyone, like we all have learning to do in different areas. And I think as long as like, I don't know, I think people should continue to push themselves and continue to like, I don't know, like try to be more inclusive in their dating, but also like do that work on your own. Don't do that work like with me as your audience, because like that's not what I'm on a dating app for.
Yeah, I get kind of two themes of just like, it's not about fetishizing the otherness. And also all three of you have taken very proactive like roles in your dating life of seeing abundance, right? And just being like, this isn't a good fit for me, out of the funnel, and being very active about that. So that is awesome. Okay, thank you for that background. I knew like both of those topics are quite top of mind for a lot of people in our community. So shifting gears a little bit, so moving towards the flirting part on texting, and one of the common challenges is like a mismatch on pacing, right? Like frequency or intensity, someone texting too much or too little, or too frequently or not frequently enough, too aggressive, not interested enough, bored or boring, or the conversation can just get really stale, right? So I'm curious actually on the frequency one, how frequently, let's say you just match, like how frequently do you think, do you text with someone when you first meet someone?
I'd say that, well, I guess I kind of want to figure out what we say when we mean text. You mean like messaging on the app, or like actual text?
Oh yeah, messaging in whatever
because
platform.
if you're not getting to my phone number for like 3 more rounds, you know what I'm saying? But
Okay,
like, I think texting on messaging on the app, I think it should be like fairly consistent enough to show interest, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And you'll feel that in the conversation. You know what I'm saying? You'll start asking questions, you'll get like flirty, and then people may pull back or something like that. But I think you should do it enough to just like, to be able to gauge the interest and also figure out how they message. I am a terrible messenger. I'm a terrible texter as well. Like, I prefer a phone call. But at first, you won't know that unless we're like getting into that. And maybe that's just one of the questions. And also, just ask. Be like, is this texting too much? Like, am I messaging you too much? Like,
directly
like,
ask for feedback. Okay.
Just ask for it. Because like, I hate trying to guess everything. And I don't want to have the other person living in this wondering kind of stage either. So just be like, yo, am I texting you too much? I just think you're really cute. But if so, let me pull back a little bit, you know? So
yeah. Okay.
My thing with dating apps is like, I've had to sort of like go on my own little journey, because I am like in my non-dating app life, like a very prompt texter. And I'm like, I don't know, just sort of very communicative. And
me too. I'm excited about this.
And so, but I think with dating apps, I've had to actually learn to be a little bit more easygoing and a little bit more, I think, aware that we all have, I don't know, like taking some of the seriousness of it down a bit. Because the thing is that like someone can message me and I can like not be in the mood to respond. And I don't care that they I don't care if they're messaging me a lot. Like, I'll return to it when I return to it. And so like, and same on the other side of it. So if I message someone and they don't immediately get back to me, like it might adjust how enthusiastic I'm about the person, or like if I'm in a certain mode or I'm like in the mood to flirt and they're not responding quickly, I might like move on to someone else. But like, that's all part of it. And I think, I don't know, I just like think maybe I'll just speak personally that like I've had to learn to have less expectations, both on myself and on other people, because also part of like being a good texter is that like it's partially coming from a place of like anxiety of like wanting to be respectful and wanting to be on top of stuff and having to be like, it's not fun for me if I'm thinking of it as like a chore of like, oh, I have to respond to this person on an app. Like I would rather message with someone when I'm like in the mood to message with them. And if that means like a few days go by in between messaging with someone, then that's what like that like relationship's supposed to be. And if it's not, if like we immediately match and are like really great back and forth and having these like long conversations, that's also really great. And I have both experiences, and it just depends on like my chemistry and my texting chemistry with that specific person, and also where I'm at emotionally. Like we are in a pandemic, and like someone I was messaging with who I was like into, like like I got the flu like a few weeks ago, and then wasn't messaging on dating apps because I was like not feeling well. And then they like messaged me again, like that they were upset that I had like disappeared, and it was like a week. And I was a little bit like, for me that was a red flag. Like for me that was like, oh, I'm not actually, I was going to message you when I was feeling better and now I'm not. And not as like a punishment, but just as like, I think we have different communication styles, because like where I'm at right now, like in this pandemic, is that like sometimes I'm really enthusiastic about dating and flirting with strangers, and sometimes it's exhausting, and there's a lot of things going on in our country and our world and in my own life and whatever. And so like maybe I'm not in the mood to message. And like, I think we all could be maybe a little kinder to our differing communication styles and our differing, like where we're at emotionally in this like very like intense emotional moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's about giving people grace, like in so many different aspects on the dating app and in dating in general, but just like give people a little bit of grace,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really crazy, unprecedented now, like almost full year, right? And everyone goes in their waves, so it's 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 good to kind of give yourself space and permission to be where you are in your life and what's going on, and also realize the same thing is happening for the other person, and you might not be in sync. And again, that's about fit, not about them being wrong, you being wrong. It's just the fit's not on right now. The timing's wrong.
Totally. If someone wants to be like, have like immediately like, we're going to message a bunch and then we're going to like figure out what our status is and then we're going to like move on or get deeper, then like maybe I'm just not the person for them like right now. And that's totally fine.
Yeah, and actually I've been on both sides, and one of the things I like to do is just like, hey, just checking in, because sometimes people do forget, and so you're just like assuming the best for the person, but still trying to communicate directly to you. So we're going to do a little bit of rapid fire. So I'll let one of the dating download people respond to each of these as we go. So we're going to talk about just flirting, texting stuff. So how do you feel about, and this is 0 equals never, 1 equals sometimes, 2 equals always. How do you feel about moving to another platform, and which one? So we know Shelli doesn't give out her digits. But want to hear from both in the chat and then also from one of you three.
I mean, I'll take it. Is that okay? Even though I'm like, you can't have my phone number, but I'll take this question. I am for moving to a new platform. And I think it is always Instagram, because you get a little bit of a blend. You get to see more of this person. You get to see if they're a catfish or not, based on like if they're a story person, like posting stories. You know that I don't think that we utilize that tag pictures option as much as we should. So you get to see their tagged photos. You get to see
that's a good one.
if they're out in these streets. You know what I'm saying? Like there's all of that. But then also sometimes it's just easier and more convenient. And it also shows that you're interested in the next step, whatever that next step is. So, and then they can't use that shit about, I'm not on the app all the time. Okay, sis, well now we're on Instagram. So what's the problem? Like, so yeah, that's my answer.
That's a great one. And you can basically like check out their everything. And there's conversation starters too. Yeah, you can actually keep that conversation going. Okay, next one. How do you feel about sexting? Just words, so not pictures yet. Sexting.
I'll take this one.
Yeah, Danny.
I think it's the way to hear.
Danny, you're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if it's your internet. we can kind of hear you. It's a little bit broken up.
Is this better?
Yeah, keep talking. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's a great way to like judge your ability on so that,
Sorry, Danny, your
person,
internet. Sorry, Danny. Your connection is hard to hear you.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Drew, do you want to tap in just for this one?
Sure. I don't do a lot of sexting with people who I have not had sex with, like IRL. I really love it when I have had sex with someone, but I think so frequently, I don't know, it's interesting, right? Because like we're in a moment where we like can't really be in person as much. And so there have been, I don't know, it's like there's also like a pretty clear distinction to me between like flirting and like sexting. And even like when it's just with words, like to me, like sexting is like we're masturbating. There's like full like descriptions of like sexual acts that we want to be doing to each other or like have done to each other or whatever. That to me like feels different than like a flirtatious conversation where we're like talking about what we're into, like in theory. That I do a lot. And that is like I'll do with someone who I like met, you know, like on an app and we haven't ever like met in person. But when it comes to like what I would call like actual sexting, that I'm a little bit more hesitant to do with someone before I've actually had sex with them.
Okay, so like flirtatious kind of sexual innuendo, yes, but full on sexting, no. Okay. How about how do you feel about nudes?
Danny, is your internet back?
Is it? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, much better.
Yeah, I love nudes. Friends, I send them I'm interested in. It's just
Oh no, Danny, it's gone out a little again.
But at least we got the first part.
Yeah, you're like, yes.
I love nudes. Like, the universe was like, this is what you need to know. Danny likes a nude, okay? Like,
okay, awesome. Next one, how do you feel about audio notes?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yes.
Drew and I are on the same.
Big fan.
Yes, big mama. Listen, send me the note, okay? Like,
I love.
What do you like to hear?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I really love people's voices. Like I find that to be like a huge like attraction point. And honestly, it's not that often that I'm like into someone's picture and then I'm like, oh my God, their voice is super annoying. It's more that once I hear their voice, I'm like more turned on, more into them.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I think also like as someone who is a writer and once again is a fairly anxious person, I think that when I'm messaging, I'm like very thoughtful about it, like to the point where like my friends will make fun of me of like how much thought I'll put into like a single text message, not in like I want to like keep the speed and energy going, but I still am just like obsessing over it, right? Whereas with like a voice note, like I'm not gonna re-listen to my like minute and a half long voice note I sent someone. So I really like it because for me, it's like a way of just like, it's like chatting on the phone, but it can be done throughout the day whenever like there's time. But it has the same energy where I'm not sort of like prepping each thing, and it can be like have a little more personality to it because of that. And I don't know, I really like it. That's been like a huge thing in the pandemic where like I didn't really send voice notes before, and now with like all my friends and with like people who I'm flirting with or friends who I'm flirting with, that I send voice notes all the time.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like voice note.
I like voice notes too, but actually, unlike Drew, I am like really afraid that I won't like their voice, and it's a huge like turn off for me. Like maybe like how smell is for people, but like I'm so deathly afraid that like someone's voice is just gonna be the deal breaker.
Yeah, but when it's right though, it's
but
right.
when it's right, then it's really right.
Right. Yeah.
So, so actually, on that note, how about taking it that step further? Like, how do you feel about phone calls before you've actually like met on FaceTime or in real life?
I actually really do love a phone call. It's especially I love a phone call if we've gotten to that point. Like if we've gotten to the point for a phone call, that means that there's something. When I say something there, I don't mean like we're about to get married, but I mean there's something extra there that makes me want to like literally sit down or lay down or whatever and have a full conversation with you. But and I think it's also a really easy way to flirt, and it's also a really easy way to like have something turn into like sexting or phone sex kind of situation. Like it's all just it's really about that. And you can also really see how someone communicates too, you know, like, and it's really easy to flirt on the phone. You can be like, are you nervous? I can hear it in your voice. Like that kind of shit.
Wow.
Even if you can't, just say you can. And then they're like, oh my God, what? And you're like, yeah, you like that shit, don't you? And it's sweet. I love it.
That's amazing. And how, like, my concern with all of this communication before actually meeting, actually in real life, but even for FaceTime, is that you are having like, you know, so much interaction and your expectations are being built up, and then you meet and there's like no chemistry. Does that ever happen to you?
Like it has happened to me before personally, but I am a very like direct person, but I also don't think that it has to be so tragic. So if I'm like we have all this connection and this energy on the phone, on the apps, we meet up at the park, have a taco or two, and it's just like I'm not feeling it anymore, or like something's lacking, I will just say it and I'll be like, yo, this was like good for a minute, but like, I don't think we should just like do it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I like eating tacos with you, but I don't want to flirt with you.
Right, these are real tacos.
But like, these are real tacos. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, like actual good old picadillo Pilsen tacos. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I think it's just like you have to take that risk. And then you also have to learn that communication of being like, so you don't ghost or whatever. You just have to be like, this was fun, but I'm just not like feeling that connection that I thought we had. Stop wasting each other's time. Like,
yeah,
it just won't work, you know? And you're already there, so just have a nice moment, but then cut it, you know?
How about for people, like I have a friend who's afraid of saying that, you know, like that, you know, you had all this expectation, now you're just not feeling it. So how do you get the confidence or the courage to say that?
Yeah, so you can, I feel like for people like that, you can sort of do a cop out. Well, it's not a cop out because everyone has, some people have to learn to do that, you know? I kind of am that way outright, but for someone who does need to learn to do that, I think it's okay to like have the day, end it, and then get home and then sort of do it through text or something like that. You know, like build yourself up at home, text your homies and be like, yeah, it just wasn't that right, but I'm scared to do it. But it's easy. It's always easy to do things over text though, you know? So if you can't do it in person, call a friend or two, ask them to like, I've done this before too, ask them to like send you a text message, like a little, like an edited, or be like, okay, send me some options to send. And then you send that. And then that's it, you know? So you have to like build it up if that's something you need to do, but you can be scared, but you still have to do it, you know? Like you won't get good at it unless you put it into some sort of practice. So you can always ask for help, but you still have to like do it because you don't want to dangle somebody because you don't want to be dangled, you know? So
that's so truer words were never spoken. And that's that growth mindset, right? Practice, 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 build the resilience, build, you know, the strength to do this. So that kind of takes us to ghosting, actually. Good segue. I want to know in chat, how many people have been ghosted? Can put a +1. And then I also want to know who's ghosted someone else. So a -1. And I guess if you've done both, you can throw the 0 there. Yeah.
I'm so mad that I'm seeing so many +1s. I hate it.
No, +1's getting ghosted. -1 is
I know, but I
ghosting.
hate +1s.
Oh, both of them, I guess. Yeah, getting ghosted.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about ghosting is it happens so much in both directions, right? I've done both. And I think it goes back to that rejection, right? Being afraid of communicating it and not wanting to receive it. So,
can we define ghosting? Because I think this is something that comes up sometimes that bothers me personally, because I do think that there are levels, right? Like I personally do not think that it counts as ghosting if you've like chatted a bit on an app and then you stop responding. That to me isn't ghosting. That to me is there's
good differentials.
Like you know, having all these conversations on dating apps and whatever, like it can sometimes get overwhelming, and like not everything needs to be a breakup. Like it's if you've messaged like 4 sentences back and forth or even had like one nice conversation, like that's just dating. Like that's not like, in my opinion, ghosting. For me, then there's like a gray area of like, yeah, if you've like FaceTime date or like talked on the phone, like then personally I would like give someone a response. If someone didn't give me a response, I would be like annoyed, but I don't know if I would like call that. I would not feel the like affront of ghosting that is like meeting someone in person and then they disappear after that. That to me is like once it counts as ghosting. I don't know if people disagree. I'm sure people have strong opinions, but like that's like my sort of scale. And yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Is Danny still here, or the other Drew Gregory?
I think I'm here.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Good, yay.
I'm hoping your internet's better now. I'd love to hear from you as well about your thoughts on what is ghosting and when is it problematic.
I think that ghosting is just two people who have come to that point that you're talking about like that, you know, that may be in the middle, and they're both maybe a little bit apprehensive or afraid to pull the plug on it. So I think I've been ghosted before and I have ghosted. So I've been in both situations. And I think that it's just a matter of like not being, this may sound harsh, but I think it's like just not being brave enough to, you know, be the one to start that communication up, and say, you know, hey, this isn't maybe something that I'm interested in anymore. I would like to, you know, maybe move on as friends or not move on at all. That conversation is really tough to have with somebody, but I think it's worth it so that there's no hard feelings on either end.
Yeah, thank you three for sharing that. So we are kind of over the hour. I want to spend, we started late, so I want to just spend five more minutes, or 5 to 10 more minutes. So we talked a little bit about ghosting, and let's go back to that time period of pre-meeting, right? So the conversation is going toward ghosting land or getting a little stale. So how would you try to kind of rescue the conversation or getting it towards, you know, a first date or meeting up or the next thing that you're trying to do?
I always think, well, like I always say, I think I'm just heavy on like asking outright and getting into that conversation. So if you're feeling like you're ready to move to the next spot or the next stage or something and things are going good, just be like, yo, you want to Zoom, you want to FaceTime, do you want to da-da-da? But if it's like staling out, you can ask as well. You can be direct or ask it in a flirty way. Just be, if you want to do a flirty way, you can just be like, I don't know, what, you don't think I'm cute anymore or some shit? If you're baby, if you're not baby, don't fucking tell me that shit. But like, or
I don't know what that means, but.
Or you can just like outright ask if you're feeling like it's getting a little stale, just be like, yo, are you not down for this anymore? And give them the out. You know what I'm saying? But don't ask that if you're not ready to take a no. I mean, like a yes, like a, I'm not feeling that anymore. You know what I mean? You have to ask that knowing that it can go either way. But I think you just have to ask. Like, it sucks and it's really scary and all that shit. But if you don't want to be the person that's in the group chat like every 2 days, sending the screenshots asking, is this girl still interested in me? Like, I don't know. Did you ask her? Like, I don't know. Like, you have to be, I'm a Taurus. Somebody just asked that. I'm a double Taurus. So someone just asked it in the chat. But like, I think you just have to ask people. So if you want to know where you stand, or if you're ready to move to the next thing, you just have to ask them. Or you can leave yourself out. If you're the one that is making it stale, just be like, I think I am done with this. Like, it was nice meeting you. And then that's it. Then just like unmatch them and move on to what other people think about you is none of your business. Okay. Like, you can have that mindset like I do, but still be very respectful. And if you don't want to be wondering, then ask. You know what I mean? So you just have to talk. We have to start. Why don't we lean into that stereotype about lesbians, like that we talk all the time? Let's pick.
We don't talk directly though.
Like, let's pick that one to like be like, oh yes, we talk all the fucking time. Like, so yeah, that's my answer. But
I think for me, it like depends on the situation, right? Like, is it that I've been like messaging with someone on an app and it's getting stale? Or is it like, oh, I went on a date in person with someone and now like we're not texting as much, or the energy has shifted or whatever? And my answers are very like different depending on those situations, because something with apps is that I think people get into these like traps of like, how was your day? It was fine. How was yours? And like, it feels sometimes like you're like driving your kid home from like high school and trying to get them to like tell you about their day, and it's like miserable and it's awful. And like, that is not what you want when you're dating. That is not sexy. And so I feel like sometimes I've had to like consciously be like, okay, like this kind of conversation is different, like consciously flirting, like consciously being like, even if it's like the middle of the day and I'm having this conversation, I mean, you can be horny in the middle of the day, obviously, but like, even if like my mindset at this moment isn't like flirty, then either wait to message when you are feeling that, or and not that every conversation needs to be flirty, right? Like, if you're having like a really like deep intellectual emotional conversation, like that's also great, and then that to me isn't getting stale. But if you're feeling like a level of staleness, I think just like being like, what can I say to this person that's going to be like fun and flirty? And if anyone in the chat is like, but what does that even mean? Like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, anything that like brings up sex, anything that's like respectfully and with whatever like sort of communication pattern you've established, like comments on their look, compliments them, whatever, like, you know, like you have to navigate with each individual person, and you should be like sending like messages that are maybe like too forward or whatever, but like you have to know what your relationship is with that person. But I do think there are ways to like to salvage that. And also I think in some cases though, like if you are like double texting someone, they're not getting back to you, and you've never met in person, whatever, like I'm actually a really big fan of trying to find like closure without involving the other person. I think sometimes like I'm all for direct communication and processing, and like the amount of times that I'm just like flat out like, hey, like we aren't like, I haven't heard from you, like what's up, like what Shelli was saying, like giving someone an out, like I love that. But I also think sometimes I'm like, okay, I went on this date with this person. Our messaging now is like a little bit slowed down. Like we don't have some like grand romance that we had. We don't need to have like some grand breakup. Like it can literally be like, oh, this person doesn't seem to be messaging me as much. Like maybe that's, again, it's not personal. Like either we didn't have a connection or they have a lot of things going on in their life. Either way, like I'm going to sort of like close this chapter of like, and it doesn't mean that chapter can't open, or like a new book with the same person can't start, but like I just am sort of like, okay, like this is done for now. And I just like sort of confined within myself to like emotionally be like, okay, that's done. And if I need closure by actually having a conversation with the person because of whatever connection was deeper, then I'll have that and have that direct communication. But I think a lot of times like people, I don't know, either hold on to things longer than they should be lasting, or feel like they need to have a conversation about something that maybe they don't. Maybe it's like wasn't that big of a thing, and they can like find it within themselves to like sort of, I don't know, or ourselves, I should say, like to just sort of move on. There's so many people out there. There's so many people in the world. So I think like it's not that it shouldn't take work, but it shouldn't feel like that much work. Like dating's supposed to be fun. It like takes effort and you have to learn how to do it well, but like it's fun.
Yeah, dating should be fun. I think that's one of the big takeaways from this series. I hope people get. And a lot of what you said, Drew, is like very empowering. Finding that closure within, and realizing that there's a lot of people out there. So no need to kind of like go down maybes, right, or no's, right. So I want to kind of wrap up this panel and leave it a little bit open-ended, but what's one tip or one kind of philosophy that you can leave this community with to help make dating more fun and enjoyable?
I think mine is what I said earlier. It's kind of what I live by is in my life, but also in dating. What other people think about you is none of your business. Like, you are not hurting someone by saying who you want to date, like the type of people you want to date, the preferences and stuff like you have. As long as none of those are in any sort of like phobia realm, you just like don't be so concerned with what they're thinking of you. If you're respectable and that can be arranged, but you know what I mean by like respectably thinking, not worrying about what other people think about you, because you get so consumed in that in dating. Like, do they think I'm funny? Do they think I'm pretty? Do you think you're funny? Do you think you're pretty? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ask yourself all the questions that you are asking of others and are able to answer them in a way that makes you feel good, you should be able to grow into really liking not just like dating, but just yourself. You know what I mean? Confidence is a real thing. I also know that it is very hard to attain as well. So I'm not saying that is just this like miraculous thing that people come with or that you get. But once you do get it and you stop being so concerned with other people and you're just like having a good time and putting yourself out there, being like, I'm a bad bitch and everybody on this app should be lucky to connect with me. That's not being a narcissist. That's just knowing who you are. You know what I mean? And the right people will connect with that in the right way. That's how I feel. And I'm great at dating. So I feel like it's great advice.
Yes, Shelli, love it. Drew or Danny, who wants to go next?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think that with dating, everybody wants to sort of put their best foot forward and be their best selves. And I think the easiest way to do that is to lead with what you're passionate about and to be your most authentic self on paper, on an app, on whatever medium you're coming to a person from. Like Shelli was preaching a lot about confidence, and I like totally agree. It's all about how you perceive yourself, and that self-love and self-understanding and knowledge of the self that is really going to come across when you're dating and attract someone else, in my opinion. But yeah, leading with your passions and letting people know what you care about and what's important to you. It's just a great way to like break the ice and to welcome someone into your life that also has those passions. And maybe if they don't, it's not a great match. And maybe if they don't, then you can they can introduce you to their passions and you can find some common ground there. It's just like, there's a whole world out there for you to uncover and explore. And it's so great to do that with someone that you're dating. And I think that is just like one of the fun parts of dating is getting to know someone else's world and being introduced to new things and new people.
Nice. Thanks, Danny. Be your authentic self. Love it. Drew.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, very, very important thing. I am changing my Zoom name to my Twitter and Instagram handle because you should feel free to slide into my DMs and I will probably not respond, but maybe I will,
Wait, is it Drew? Is it Drew Gregory or?
No, it's Draw.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay. But my actual answer to the question is that I think that I think people need to get less attached to outcome, because I think that regardless of what your ultimate goal is, whether it's like you want one monogamous partnership that you like spend your whole life with that person and they're your person for forever, or if you're like wanting a hookup, or if you're wanting to like form some sort of polycule, like whatever you want, like even if that's your ultimate goal, there can be so many things that happen on the way there. And that can be like either really fun or really meaningful or like life-changing in their own ways. And I also think the ultimate goal that you achieve will be more meaningful and will just be healthier if you're not as attached to that ultimate outcome. And so I think like with dating, it's as important to know what you want as it is to not put that pressure on every interaction. Because if what you ultimately want is a relationship, to match with someone and to think, oh my God, is this going to be my girlfriend? Like, is this going to be my partner? Is this going to be my person? Like, that's a lot of pressure on like a first flirt. And I think it will make your first flirts probably not as good if you're like thinking about that context, because that's just so much pressure. And so I think if instead you think like, I want to talk to this person, or like, oh, this person's pictures are cool, or this person's hot, or whatever, like, that's a great way to start something. And that's a great way to like enter into a conversation. And then if it turns out that that person's your person, like amazing. And if it turns out that they were like someone who you had like a nice conversation with, something that I think about a lot is the number of people who have like recommended, like people are talking about music in the chat right now, like a band that they like, or like a book. And I'm like, I've never talked to that person again, but I read that book and it changed my life. And like, that's what's so great about dating. Like it's those interactions and it's those surprises. And even right now, when like some of the fun parts about dating are taken away from us, like we still have that. And we still have like all these possibilities. And I don't know, like, I think when I move through the world, like I'm always just trying to like make the lives that I encounter better in some way. And I hope that the same is given back to me. And that's like, dating is like any other interaction and any other relationship forming. And so like, that's sort of the goal. And so I just sort of think that like, if you are less attached to that ultimate outcome, you can like find all those other pleasures and surprises.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Shelli, Danny, Drew. Just words of wisdom, I think learned through lots of life experience and dating experience. And just, I've learned so much. And a lot of it was about, how to be your authentic self, focus on your own thoughts, not what other people think of you, and not be attached to expectations of outcomes. So you can really enjoy that process and receive whatever is meant to come from that person and the whole experience. So thank you so much. This was amazing. Everyone should check out Autostraddle and Dating Download and all of Autostraddle's related articles that are being posted and reprised for this event series. For homework, as you know, I love assigning homework. Marie Kondo your dating apps. Like, go in there right now, clear out stale matches. If you feel like they warrant a direct communication, do so. If not, maybe take Drew's perspective and just kind of let them fizzle on their own. But do it, Marie Kondo them, all the apps. And then, go in and try something you heard today, whether it's an opener or a new mindset or, being confident with direct communication, go and try it. Give yourself permission to do your homework. So our next session is about preparing for the first date. And we're going to talk about planning the date and preparing for it, both mentally, physically, emotionally, whether it's in real life or on Zoom. And then we're going to watch Sinead, who you saw the teaser video of in the last session, go on that live first date. It's not too late to enter to win a date with her. If you weren't here in the last session and didn't get to see the video, go to our event landing page. It's posted there. She is a delight and a smoke show and a living thirst trap. So definitely check her out. And I'm going to kick it to Chris for any upcoming events. Or I know our event, this event's upcoming.
Yeah, it was like the ones we have mentioned. Thanks to our panelists and Autostraddle for really just the sermons and hymns tonight. Really good information. We had a great crowd tonight. I know there was a lot of interactions. I hope folks do have people to talk to. We're going to continue to create these spaces throughout COVID. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining tonight. Hope to see y'all at Tuesday's event. And yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you, everyone. I think if you haven't gotten a chance to get all the contact info of our panelists, that will also be on the event landing page. So anything that has been mentioned, contacts the people, links, that is all on the event landing page. And if you don't have that link, you can go to the Her app and it will be on the IG link tree there. So thank you, everyone. Have a great evening wherever you are. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.